here is what I thought of, and I don't think uh, a tablature version of these ideas would be necessary. That's why I did not write them out. So you have your seven scales, or you can call them the seven modes. Eventually, maybe next class, we will talk about if you know what modes are. Um, Basically, you have seven scale shapes. Each one starts on one of the seven notes that make up the key of C. So I advise all students who start out with this stuff to learn one scale at a time. So make sure you can play the C scale. Make sure you learn that first and have it memorized before you move on to D Dorian. And then make sure you can play both the C scale and D Dorian before you move on to E Phrygian. Basically, you want to make sure you memorize each scale shape or mode one at a time. It makes it much easier to do this instead of running every scale one after the next. So let's talk about alternate picking and economy picking. So my belief, like it talks about in that book, is if you want to reach your maximum speed potential, you need to be able to learn how to lock in to this back and forth. Now, you certainly can get really, really fast with economy picking. However, if you want to reach your maximum potential with speed, you have to get really good at locking into a back and forth alternate picking motion. Not only that, like we talked about at the end of the lesson, you have to learn control over how you're picking. So right now, when you're economy picking without thinking about it, that means you don't have complete control over what your picking hand is doing. And that is what we're going to work on. So I want you to try two things. And I know my head's cut off here. It's just when I shoot these recaps, I just keep the camera on the guitar. Anyway, two things. Doesn't matter what scale you use. I'm going to use the C scale as an example, since that is our first scale that we looked at. I want you to pick each note of the scale 4 times. So like this. And then come back down the same way. So after you pick this note, the D note, 4 times, go ahead and start going back down. So I'll go ahead and just up and down. That's what you're going to do. Play the scale up and down, each note 4 times to get used to the back and forth motion. We are going to talk about metronome practice. If you already know what to do with the metronome, do that and practice at least one scale like the C scale, the way I just did, playing each note 4 times, going up and down, and get that as fast as you can. The other thing I want you to do is play each note 2 times and get that as fast as you can. So it would sound something like this. So that's it. In addition to practicing each scale, get as many memorized as you can. You do not have to get all 7 memorized by next class. Just memorize as many as you can. Take your time with it. It would be better to memorize only 3 scale shapes instead of just trying to play all of them and getting none of them memorized. So take your time with it. And then the other thing to focus on is take a scale, for example, the C scale, and play each note 4 times. So 4 picks each note going up and back down the scale, and then play each note 2 times going up and down the scale. This is going to help you get that back and forth motion built into your subconscious mind, so this way you don't have to think about going back and forth anymore while still having control over what's going on. So if you have any questions with this, email me back, let me know your question, but I will plan on seeing you again next week, and we're going to start taking things further. All right, we'll see you in a week.